to our education focus now. A proposed law could effectively kill homeschooling in South Africa. The Basic Education Law Amendments Bill, if passed, will force parents to ask permission to educate their children from home. They must also convince the head of the Provincial Education Department that they are acting in the best interest of their child, which is effectively regulating a system designed to be outside the state's systems. Homeschooling was only legalized in 1996, and it's estimated that 120,000 are being taught this way. Anel Berger is the chair of Cape Home Educators, the oldest home education association in South Africa. They've been trying to get the Basic Education Department to see things their way for some time now. Let's find out more about the association's concerns and consultations. Anel, thank you so much for your time. So the bill has many things that it looks at: language, it looks at compulsory education. Section 51 is what deals with the homeschooling, and you say you're not happy with that section.
Good morning. Yes, thank you for having me on your show. Yes, our concern is with a number of points in the BELA bill, Section 51. A point of serious concern is Section 51(16), which states, "The Minister may make regulations relating to registration for and the administration of home education." Now, this in effect gives the Minister unlimited powers to regulate home education. As you mentioned in your intro, parents are very concerned about the requirement that the head of the Provincial Education Department have the final say about whether a child may be home educated. A total stranger gets to decide what's in the best interest of my child. A survey Cape Home Educators conducted in 2021 showed that 94% of home education families in the Western Cape are opposed to registration that requires approval. There are also practical concerns. The bill places an administrative burden on the provincial education departments, and they do not have the resources to implement the bill. The bill also requires a pre-registration home visit, and 73% of home educators in the Western Cape are not comfortable with a home visit. We've been told that the reason for the home visit is to verify information and to assist with the registration. There are other, less intrusive ways of obtaining and verifying the information. And there are concerns about the curriculum and assessments and the impact this will have on the freedom of parents and children to choose an appropriate education approach.
Anel, the way this bill is set up seems to me as if the Basic Education Department is just looking to make sure that the right of the child to education is upheld. Are you saying then that you do not want any regulation for homeschooling?
No, that's not what we're saying. We're only saying that home education needs to be regulated in a way that suits the modality. I can describe it or explain it in this way. You cannot regulate road traffic with rail traffic regulations. They are both meant to transport people and goods, and they're both meant to do it safely. But there are two completely different ways of achieving the objective. And it's the same with home education and state school education. They are completely separate. You cannot measure the one the same way you measure the other. And we've made proposals, we've given suggestions, we've shown how home educators are willing to prove that we are educating our children. You mentioned in your intro as well that we have compulsory education. In fact, we don't. We have compulsory school attendance. And school attendance is not a guarantee that your child will be educated.
Anel, for some of the concerns that you've raised, for example, that the Department of Basic Education doesn't have the resources to enforce this, that there will be home visits, there are exceptions. When I read the bill, for example, they say that if you don't get a reply in 60 days, then you assume that your application has been granted. The home visit, from what I understand, would only be if they need to confirm something in your application. So they've made some provisions. But how would you then like this bill to look?
In terms of registration, we would want a similar process as with the registration of the birth of your child. If the state is going to approve my registration within 16 days because of their workload, why then go through the whole process? Streamline it. You will still have a record that the child is being home educated. Should there be any complaints or concerns, you can then take the necessary actions. This Children's Act already provides for the care and possible child neglect or child abuse. So those systems are in place. We feel that many of the regulations that they want to put in the bill should rather be in policy. It is not necessary to regulate home visits or to put it as a requirement. It is something that can be addressed should the need arise.
Well, Anel, what next now for the Cape Home Educators Association and all of those who are interested in homeschooling? Where will you take your fight now?
Well, the bill now moves through the parliamentary process and there is public participation once again. So we are preparing our comments for the public participation. And then we'll have to see what happens then. If the bill passes in its current form, I believe that it is very likely the bill will be challenged in court.
All right. Anel, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it and for sharing your perspective. Anel Berger of the Cape Home Educators Association.